Welcome everyone to Coaching in Session. My name is Michael Rearden, and today we're going to be having the 300th episode of Coaching in Session. So as you can see, 300 is a big number for Coaching in Session. It's one of those milestones. I know it's not episode 1000 or maybe, even go back a little bit to episode 500. It's still going to be a big number because most people, they get to maybe episode 100, 200, and they start pod fading. Pod fading is when they stop showing up for the podcast. So let's say they have a podcast episode every week, right? Once a week. But let's say they're busy one week and then they don't record that episode and they're like, okay, well, nothing happened. The next week they record the episode and the week after that they don't. The week after that they don't. And before you know it, there's no podcast anymore. Now that happens with one episode, but it can happen with a 5-episode podcast too, where they're starting off going hard. They're like, I'm going to do a podcast episode every single day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Maybe in a couple months, they're like, I'm getting burned out. So pod fading is true. Pod fading is one of those things that people, fall into, but it's about creating habits. It's about creating routines. It's about creating a purpose in your why and understanding that. Today, we're going to be talking about that 300 aspect of the routine that I have built, the mindset that I have, and then the consistency that I keep with the podcast. I think is so important. And today, we're going to be having a co-host today. It's not going to be so much of a guest. He is my guest, but he is also a co-host. The reason he's a co-host is because he's my brother and not so much of a guest because I know most of the questions most of the answers that I would ever ask him. But today we're going to be bringing him on and learning about his journey of life. And then, of course, correlating that to mindset and routine. So let's bring in Marcus right now. Marcus, thank you so much for coming on Coaching in Session. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's good to see you.
All right. Yes, I see you most of the time for holidays and things like that. But today we're going to be talking about just mindset because you and I grew up very similar because we grew up in the same household, we had same parents, we have, same school all the way up to high school. So we have similar upbringing, similar mindsets. So our path was maybe straight through for, maybe the first 18 years. And then at that point, we had a choice to make where the journey of life was going to be ours. It's not going to be, well, I'm going to simply follow my brother's footsteps, or I'm going to follow my father's footsteps, or I'm going to follow in someone else's footsteps that's around me. We get to make that purpose for ourselves. So I wanted to get your take on your journey and how you perceive growing up, because I talked to the people listening, the audience, about my upbringing over and over again, but now to get a different perspective on the same environment that I was in, but getting your mindset, your take on that.
Yeah, I feel like, it's an interesting thing when you have brothers or sisters that they're the same, but at the same time, they're so unique and different. Yeah, my upbringing, it was great. I really enjoyed, we lived a good life, I feel. And, there was a lot of things that I feel I gravitated towards that maybe you didn't. I was really into sports in school. I really enjoyed that and a sense of competition. And yeah, I was also just into like out there stuff too. Like I think I was like practicing yoga. Like I got that idea from like out of football, like, and I just was like really interested in like stretching and like, why we stretched before practices to make sure we didn't get hurt. And if we got hurt, you would like kind of stretch to heal yourself. And that kind of began my journey into like, the health and wellness community where I'm kind of a big part of now of my life, which is like a joy that I'm doing now. But even going back further, I decided, I graduated from St. Ambrose, Catholic school, Catholic upbringing. After that, I decided to go to technical school because I wanted to, get out as quick as possible and kind of, make my way in the world, make money. And I decided to learn a trade. I became an electrician. I learned a lot, doing that and a lot of hard lessons, but a good thing. And I would never take it back. You're just kind of getting thrown out there into the world with people. And I learned a lot about people through that job, working with different people on the jobs and just seeing how people come from different walks of life. And I've been, I'm still doing that today and I'm still learning. It's always, an art just to keep learning and just keep learning something new. You never really feel like you master it. I have always had a sense of dedication to kind of just like creating stuff and like just like artwork and trying to, make people's houses as beautiful as possible with the lighting. And it's kind of like a just like a sport almost of trying to get everything right, and everything has to kind of be perfect. I mean, we make mistakes, but at the same time, there has to be like an end product that happens after you make a lot of mistakes, but no one sees those mistakes because you already made them so fast that you just like, oh wow, the house is perfect, and like, oh yeah, it all went well. They don't really see, like, you were wondering how you're going to get this done or that done, and it all kind of falls into place. Yeah, that's kind of my early upbringing and into my adulthood too.
Brought up a lot of good points there, from going to the upbringing of Catholic schools and then going into high school, being in football, learning about yoga, meditation, and then just understanding the aspect about failure, because failure can be the best learning lesson for people. Yet a lot of people, they shy away from failure. A lot of people don't want failure in your life. And I know you and I, when we were, still around each other more. I live in Texas now. You still live in Connecticut, where you sometimes will, talk about workers that would just kind of just do bad jobs, or they just were like almost like aloof to the trade. They would just make mistakes, and you're always trying to do the best job possible for the client. That's important, right? You want the client to understand that the work that you do is professional, and you give yourself a purpose when you do that work too, because I find that some people, they have an option when it comes to a job. They either go to the job just to go get a check, or they go to the job to create a purpose. And right now, in our generation, our younger generation, our Gen Z, they go to the job maybe for money more so than a purpose. They would rather have their own business, things like that, build from there. But you are an entrepreneur essentially, because you have your own business with, doing your electrical work, but then you also have a new health and wellness business that you just recently started, Phoenix Starlight Wellness. So that right there is just showing people that the path that we give ourselves, and this is the journey of life right here, people, like, we can be on a path and we're just kind of moving through life, and we're like, all right, I'm going to, do this. I'm going to go to school, and then I'm going to go to trade school. I'm going to be an electrician. I'm going to, go out into the world, create a purpose. And then later on, you're like, I did that. I'm really good at it, but I want to add something to my plate. And this is what you added. You added health and wellness to your plate. So let's talk about your business a little bit, Phoenix Starlight Wellness, and then what kind of sparked you to take that beyond high school, beyond the yoga aspect, beyond the healing aspect.
Yeah, this is many years in the making. I remember I was like at a retreat, and like, I was doing some work with people. We're doing work on ourselves, like, talking about, why we're here and stuff. And like it was all like practitioners, and they were like, people like, that were helping people, coaches and stuff like that. I was there, and I was just there to enjoy the class. And one of the women was like, are you like, a practitioner? I'm like, no, I'm just here, to kind of find out about myself. And she was kind of laughing. I was like, yeah, I do this for fun. And it's always been a joy of mine to kind of improve upon myself, or just like understand why I'm here, and to kind of like, get down to like the deeper meaning of life, and just trying to understand why it is that I do what I do, and, how I could do better at that. What is it that makes me want to do better, and why do I want to do better? And what's the point of even if I do better? I always have all these questions in my mind, all the time. Yeah, the wellness business came along finally after, many years, doing all these different things. I've, done float tanks, studied meditation, read many books, became a Reiki master, did yoga for many years from high school up till now, which is about 17 plus years. Finally, after the pandemic, or during the pandemic, I always had this idea. I kind of told my friends about it, about using technology to help people to kind of learn how to meditate, or like to better their lives. And I've seen different people doing this, and I was always thought that was a great idea, and I wanted to do the same. But during the pandemic, I was using, this light, which is kind of the headlight of my business right now, that helps you to meditate using flickering LEDs. It really helps to bring you into this relaxed meditative state while you have your eyes closed and you're using this light. I was using it, and I was really stressed out because, I was like, all right, what's going to happen here? Where's work going to come from? At the time, I was working mostly for companies, and, I was really dependent on other people for my own income, which I still am now. I'm blessed to have so many people be calling me to do work in, many different areas. But, I was at the point where, what do I do in my life? And, how do I move here? I was using this meditation light, and I was like really blown away by how calm I felt, even though I still had all these problems. I still had, what do I do with the rest of my life? I felt like super calm, and, the stress kind of drained away. And then at that point, I was like, this is really something cool that I wanted to share with people. And so the idea of the business became to share the things that I love with people as like a fun thing to do, but also things that I really felt worked, because I just had like this sense of I kind of really know what works really well for me. And I feel that this could work for some people. I know it's not going to work for all people because it may not be their path. But I felt that, if I could just help one person, then that would be enough.
Yeah, it's a journey, right? You started off, you said a great question, right? Why should I be better? Because at the end of the day, we don't have to push ourselves. We don't have to say, you know what, I'm going to make today the best day ever. I'm going to make tomorrow the best day ever. I'm going to change my life. I'm going to change someone else's life. And this is where we are as people, right? We have so many choices, so many paths to go on. And just as you went on that retreat and people were inquiring about, well, who are you, right? Who is Marcus Rearden? And you're like, I'm just a regular guy. I'm trying to find meaning. I'm trying to find purpose. What is that, right? What is that meaning? What is that purpose? And everyone has a different definition for success, purpose, for passion, for happiness. Because what I might see as success, you might not see as success. That is where we are when it comes to the meaning of life. Because for me, life has no meaning, right? You could be born and you have no meaning. A lot of people just waste their life away. However, in life, we have a great opportunity. And that opportunity is to create meaning in our life. Because once we create meaning in our life, then it's like, now I'm understanding something. Because if we know anything about the body, we know anything about the brain, we need problems in order to survive. That's why when people hit 65 and they retire, they typically die within the next 10 years. Sometimes it could be 4 years, maybe even sooner, but it's typically within the 10 years is because they don't have a purpose there. Where if we don't give ourselves a purpose, if we don't give ourselves a problem, then we are just going to say, well, what's the point? It's almost like playing a video game. You get, the cheat code, you type in the cheat codes and you finally get everything. You're like, all right, like I'm at the top, right? I got all the resources. I got all the buildings or whatever video game you're playing. You reach the end point. Well, what's the next thing you do? Nothing, right? You beat the game. There's nothing you can do, but can you enjoy that? Just having everything given to you. And this is why life's a journey, because you have your ups, you have your downs, and you have to understand that. It's like the yin and the yang, the good and the bad. We can't appreciate the bad because if we are just always looking at the good and vice versa, we can't appreciate the good if we're just always looking at the bad. So there is a balance there where we have to understand that. There is a balance between our income, working with people, and then creating a need for our services. And that's so important because yes, you can be dependent on people, but to be honest, how many people are dependent on people? And I would say 95% of the world maybe is dependent on people. Because if you go to the grocery store, you didn't grow those groceries, right? You didn't milk that cow. So we are dependent on people already naturally, but we shouldn't see our clients so much as I'm dependent on you to give me money, but I'm providing a service that I have crafted and mastered. I know my value, I know my worth. And at that point, people are going to see that, right? People are going to see, hey, this is who he is. This is what type of work he does. It's not even, it's about being blessed too. No lie there. But it's about being who you are. You even said early on in the podcast that you would work with people and you will learn the different types of personalities between people. And I know you. And sometimes you'll be with people who just do a bad job. I know you probably going into houses and you just see people doing, half-ass jobs or whatever it is. And you're like, I have to fix this. That perfection there. People notice that. People see it. And they're like, this is why I want Marcus to come help me out with my electrical work. This is why I want to work with Marcus in health and wellness. Because he's not just going to do something. He's going to make sure that he goes all the way through and he comes out on the other end with me being the best place possible than rather just me being in any place.
Yeah. And like you said, happiness is, or a quote I've heard is, happiness is in the journey, of course, and you have those ups and downs. That's all part of the ride on the roller coaster, and you just kind of enjoy the whole thing, the ups and downs. It's been a learning experience working with people, especially in the health and wellness field, because you meet all types of people, and I've had people who completely don't like what I do, and I'm just like, that's impossible. But I respect that, and I respect everybody's individuality in this field and working with them in, this way, because it's a personal choice how you want to live your life. And that could be based on many different belief systems that you have. And it's not really my right to say, hey, you should be doing this, you should eat healthy because, it's the best way. Maybe your best way is you eat pizza and beer and you live a happy life and that's it. I've really enjoyed working with people and just seeing the many different reactions of what I've been doing, where it's been like, that was the most amazing thing ever, to turn that light off now is what I've been getting. And yeah, it's been a really deep journey, and I'm just learning more every day, and it humbles me. And while I do have that artistic perfection, but it's something that I can't have with other people because I'm working with people, not, on them. It's a very important distinction to make. And, you're there to kind of just like see what it is that they truly want, even if they don't know what it is, and see if you can help them, educate them in a way to allow their greatest self to come through.
There is a saying, right? You're not everyone's cup of tea, right? I know I am not everyone's cup of tea. People, they get upset with me sometimes, and good, right? The more haters I have, the better I feel I'm doing in life. I was like, yeah, they hate me. They are attacking me. It's like, I love it every day. It's like, ooh, give me more. Tell me more about it. Because that right there is just showing me that I'm ahead. Because if you think about life, you think about haters, they typically don't hate on people who have less than them. When's the last time you hated on a homeless person? Probably, yeah, you can't think of it, right? Because it doesn't happen. If it does happen, it's very rare, all right? Because maybe they were bothering you or something like that, and then you kind of lost your cool, whatever. But typically, you're not going to just, be at your house, eating dinner with your family saying, you know what, I hate homeless people. It's a conversation that just doesn't happen. And if it does happen, you have to reevaluate your life, I think. But most people are going to hate at people for the things that they don't have, right? Keeping up with the Joneses. Oh, John next door, he has a new Ferrari. I can't believe it, and then he just bought his wife a new engagement ring. What is he thinking? So it's literally a competition between people rather than, all right, I'm in competition with myself. How can I grow myself? Everyone, again, is not going to like what you do. People don't like what I do. People don't like what I say. Because there's always going to be a different mindset, a different path, right? The journey of life is always going to be different. Looking at politics really quick, we're not going to talk about politics. It's just going to be the example. You could be Democrat or you could be Republican. Democrats probably hate Republicans, or Republicans probably hate Democrats. And it's not so much that they hate them as people. It's just that they don't believe in their opinions and their beliefs. Yet, those two people probably can come together, sit down, have a meal together. Do they want to? Probably not. When we're working with clients, there could be a moment where, they're like, I don't like where this is going, right? So they, don't want to continue working on. That's fine, right? You learn from those moments too. You learn, okay, maybe this is not my ideal client. Maybe they don't like how I do it. Do you change? This is something that I, struggled with when I started coaching and teaching. I was like, do I change because someone wants me to change, or I'm not their cup of tea? I need to be a people pleaser. I need to try to make everyone happy. And then I said, I don't give a damn. Now, I give a damn about the work and the quality that I do. But if someone is not my cup of tea, why should I try to extend myself, stretch myself to be someone who I'm not? Because at the end of the day, I feel like a sham. That right there, it makes me not like the work. I would rather be authentic and true to myself. Sometimes people are not going to like it. People want to be combative. That's fine. I have no problem arguing. I have no problem fighting. At the end of the day, I stay true to myself. It's almost like selling your soul. Do you sell your soul to get ahead? Do you sell your soul to make everyone happy? Or do you say, you know what, I'm going to follow my true identity, my true self. And if I have to make some modifications, I will. This is where you have a coach or a mentor kind of helping you along the way with that idea. But if you are just going in it alone and you just kind of say, well, my way or the highway, that is a different way of thinking too that can be a little bit dangerous. So there is a fine line to being a business owner, having a product or having a service that we provide. Is, what we do is we provide services to people. You are more into the health and wellness field. People are not going to like the way you do things with your light, like they might get dizzy or whatever. It might not be for them. you and I, we practiced Bikram yoga for some years. Do you think everyone liked Bikram yoga? No, right? People will go in there and they'll have 90 minutes of suck. They're literally in there, they're about to die, right? Or so they think they're going to die. At that point, right? That 90 minutes, we can learn something. And I can't tell you how much I learned just being in that room, just with myself, battling myself. Wanted to get your take on that. How we can be in a situation, we can put ourselves into a healing process. For example, what you do is a healing process, and we can find out during that process that this is not for me. What is the benefit of sticking with it rather than just running away?
Yeah, when you were speaking before, I believe it was Maya Angelou who said, "I don't know one sure path to success, but one sure path to failure is to try to please everyone." What came across my mind as soon as you were speaking about, trying to please everybody and trying to change yourself. What I would say about, being in tough spots in your process and like, should I keep going, say in the Bikram yoga class? I mean, it's a very personal thing, of course. There's certain things that happens. If you're feeling pain, maybe you should stop. But there's a question of like, when do you push and when do you not push? I feel you very much have to listen to your intuition. When you kind of like dial in to what, really it feels good to you, then at that point you could tell what's good for you. Because there's some people who staying in a 90-minute Bikram yoga class, it may not suit them and it may actually do them harm. So you have to kind of feel what's best. And a lot of my life and my journey, what's helped me is, knowing what feels best for me and knowing what the right path was for me. There were times when I was definitely not on the right path and I kept going thinking I have to keep doing this to, prove a point, to prove myself. There were times where I took on jobs that were too big and I did them. I know that I did them, but nobody else really cares. And whether that matters or not, it's based on opinion of everyone. But, there were times where I did stuff where it didn't feel too good. And I kind of knew right away, well, maybe I should have changed the idea there, not followed that person or did that thing that I did. But there are times when it was hard and, I kept going and I was happy with myself that I did. Being able to tell those two energies is very critical, and it's something very intuitive inside you that you have to listen to. It's not something that is so much taught as something as you see and you're like, all right, that's what I want and I'm going to see the best way for me to get there and feel my way there.
Well, let's get into that then, right? How do you help people differentiate between their good intuition and their bad intuition? Because sometimes a person can say, I don't feel like going to the gym, it's my intuition, right? So they don't go
Right.
to the gym. But maybe that intuition is like, all right, I need to go to the gym because if I don't go to the gym, I'm going to be at risk for diabetes or a heart attack or whatever illness can come. A big one, osteoporosis for older folks, right? They finally, get up in age and they stop moving as much. That's why, people who go into nursing homes, they have such a big fall from, if they were in their home still walking around doing things because they were stagnant, right? So being stagnant can cause and create a lot of problems. So I wanted to maybe go on a brainstorming with you, right, to help people differentiate between the good intuition and the bad intuition that someone can be thinking about.
Yeah, I was in a yoga class once and the woman teaching the class was speaking about intuition and she was saying, she had an example of a friend and her friend was asking her a question like, hey, should I go on this trip to India or something like that? And she told her friend, no. And she says, what happened there? What happened in you? Were you happy or were you sad when I said no? That's your intuition telling you what to do. If you coiled up when you heard no, you're like, no, there's something inside you saying, no, there's something I want there. But if you heard no and you're like, okay, good, I don't have to go, then that's your intuition telling you something too. And I would say, about that, pushing yourself and having to go to the gym, I would say you have to find a way to do it and have fun. I've been playing guitar and I have a teacher and it's been great, but a lot of it was uphill. And just recently, I just kind of like found a new like learning program and it's like kind of a Guitar Heroes type of thing. And like, you're playing the notes and the computer's like watching you play and like you get stars if you do the song right. And I have so been into guitar recently and I've been really enjoying myself doing that. a couple days ago, I was helping a friend build a patio. We had to like carry all these heavy bags of cement, all this sand and stuff and bricks. I've never built like a patio before, and it was like a lot of fun doing it, but it was a lot of hard work. And I was looking at my step count, and like I got like over 200% of my steps, and I was like, wow, I did really good today. And I got a little bit of a workout, and I learned something new. I think it's like that. You have to kind of find what it is that you want and see how you could have fun achieving it rather than trying to climb up a mountain that you don't want to climb up.
Sometimes I ask people like either or question for me. Like if I'm stuck on something, it could be work, it could be food. Like for example, like should I eat pizza today or should I eat a salad? And then they're like, you should eat a salad today. And then I'm like, I don't really want a salad. So then it's like automatically I knew in my head, it's like, well, I
Mm.
wanted the pizza, right? Now, is the pizza good for me? Maybe not, right? But at the same time, if you are doing everything that you're supposed to be doing, there's nothing wrong with having a moment of pleasure where you're enjoying that slice of pizza, you're enjoying that slice of cake, but you're not using it as a simple endorphin rush, right? We're just like, all right, I'm just going to use this to, feel good. And, sometimes, people use drugs for that. They'll, drink to forget or to get high and to kind of be that fun guy. Maybe they'll use certain types of drugs to, again, elevate their mental state. Where intuition is just our true feelings at that moment. It's, should I go to India? Maybe something's, inside of you saying like, I have to do it now because in a year, I don't know where I'm going to be. Maybe I'm going to have kids. Maybe, I'm going to have to, take care of my family. This is a good opportunity right now for me. So it's kind of saying yes to do it. But then maybe there's a part in you that's a little bit nervous, a little bit scared because you're going to a new place that you might not know anything about. So there's that safety and concern aspect too, because if you know anything about the body loves to keep itself safe. So if I don't have to put myself in danger, I won't, right? And we do have to learn how to challenge ourselves. And I think that's the right word, where we challenge ourselves. It's like, okay, today I'm going to go to the gym. Not saying that you have to kill yourself in the gym, but we challenge ourselves, right? Can we do an extra minute on the treadmill? Can we maybe lift a 5-pound dumbbell and then okay, we can lift it. We're good at the 5-pound. Let me challenge myself and go to the 10 now, right? We saw that the 5 was easy, but I'm challenging myself and I'm going to the 10. That feeling right there of I accomplished something more than what I thought I could or what my mindset was, that right there is so uplifting. Because if you're ever on a treadmill and you're just running, and your brain is saying, stop, 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 and you run one more minute, and you do that 1 minute and you are done with it, you're like, wow, I can't believe I just did that, right? So we have that sense of accomplishment. Yes, you're right. We do have to make sure we don't hurt ourselves, right? So we have to make sure there's no ego lifting, no ego running, because the moment you hurt yourself, you're just going to be out of the game. You're just going to be in a worse place than you were. So it's important that we don't allow our ego to get into the way of what our potential is. And this is where we are now, right? So our intuition is kind of leading us to an understanding of what we would want to do, but then is our intuition helping us reach our fullest potential? I want your take on that.
Yeah, I love pizza. And when you were telling that story about, your friend said you should eat a salad and you said, no, I'm going to get pizza. I was remembering how I was thinking the same thing, but I was arguing with my mind. I was like, all right, I'm going to eat salad and sprouts and stuff. And like, I'm not going to have a pizza. And then, I would sit down to eat, all these vegetables and stuff. And, in my mind, you're like, well, it's not pizza. And yeah, sooner or later, I'm just broke down. I'm like, I need this pizza, man. Come on, give it to me.
Yeah.
And then finally I broke down and I had a pizza and it was awesome. And I was just like, thank you very much. And, it could be something inside me that really needed, that mix of whatever it was, I get good pizza from like a good place, I don't like bad pizza that, they don't really put much care into. And I feel that's, within reason. If I'm not having pizza every day, then it's an okay thing to do. It's once again just listening into your intuition, and your body kind of tells you what it needs. And if you're like really craving something, I would say listen to your body most importantly, because if it's saying you, hey man, you need pizza, you should listen. It gets crazy with the sugars and stuff. I mean, a little sweet stuff. I never had a big sweet tooth myself. A little bit here and there, but as long as you don't go too crazy. as for like, that motivation stuff to, do the things, I would say the power of community is amazing. And I remember you and I went to the gym for many years every morning. We woke up at 5 in the morning and went to the gym at 6, and then we went to work. We had a good time in the gym. We had a lot of fun. We like made workouts to challenge one another. And sometimes you would say, I'm not doing that workout. That's stupid.
Yeah.
And we had a
Yep.
good time, and power of community. And if you could do something with a group, there's a lot of different things like yoga. I do it in a class with people, the CrossFit things. There's like the hit. Even if, that seems a bit scary to you, doing it, in a room full of people and, everybody's working out, you get into the room and you're like, well, everybody's working out here. I guess I have to too. So, that's a big motivator for me. I have trouble sometimes working out at home, but my job is very physical and I like to put myself in situations that cause me to exercise. I enjoy doing that. I'm sorry, your question at the end of that was?
It was just talking about like how people can reach their higher potential with their intuition. So if someone
uh,
is like, saying, I want to eat a pizza, and we let that be our main intuition, right? But our high potential might be, a marathon runner or a sprinter or something like that. Is that pizza going to help us be that?
I mean, there's people that need the calories, and if you're running, a marathon, you could have a slice of pizza, I would say.
But a pizza every day, though.
A pizza every day. Well, I think your intuition starts to kick in. If I had pizza every day, I start to get tired of pizza and I want something else. I want some, vegetables. Like I've always been very attuned to my body, and I know, especially now after doing all these health kicks, I've seen my body when it's like, really in tune and like, really on its game. And it's an amazing thing, and like it's almost a high where like, yeah, I really feel good today, like, I could run a marathon, I could do this. Yeah. And your intuition, like how do you know your highest intuition? And it's a matter of preference on your belief systems. Like, some people may be a marathon runner. I'm not a runner. You have to kind of know where your passions are and be willing to follow them. If you're really passionate about being a runner, you should run. If you think that you're passionate about being a runner and you don't run, then you may not be as passionate as you thought. And you should take that time to kind of see what it is that you truly want.
It's that aspect of like, if you look good, you feel good. If you think positive, right, our mind is going to move toward positive. Just understanding like what is negative to you, right? So, running to you might be negative. Running can be positive. So it just depends on what is for you. You do have to learn that aspect. And you said something great, right? You and I went to the gym growing up. We used each other as that motivation, right? And not saying that people need, a trainer or need someone to go with them to the gym. I go to the gym by myself Monday through Friday and I get a good workout in. But I know, and I talked about this on the podcast, I said it before, I'll say it again. If I had a trainer, if I had someone there with me, I would be pushing more than what I am right now, because the brain, again, it's like that homeostasis. Like, all right, I'm really good. Yes, I'm lifting very heavy, comparable to other people in the gym. But if I wanted to challenge myself, if I wanted to push myself, this is where the wonders of coaching comes in, of people who want you to do better, who see that you have potential within you, right? Maybe their intuition is saying, you can do another one. We can do two more, right? I see it in you. I see it in you, right? You might not see it, but I see it. And oftentimes that's what happens when I work with clients. It's like, I see what you have. It's just that you don't see your potential. You don't see your worth. We just have to kind of uncover all of the negativities that we gave ourselves, maybe some of the bad talk we gave ourselves, overcome some of the obstacles that you built for yourself. By the time we do all that, you come out on the other end like, whoa, like I didn't even know I can do that. Or, whoa, I didn't even know I can be this type of person. It's because we fail to challenge ourselves sometimes. I'm sure you probably heard of the aspect of everyone gets a trophy now, right? Especially with like youth sports, where everyone gets a participating trophy, right? Or there's a game or soccer, football, whatever. They don't keep track of points. It's just like, oh, let's go out, have fun. We lose that sense of competitive nature there. Something you said on early, that competitive nature where everyone just can be who they are. They don't have to push themselves. Do you think that's a problem for our world today, our society, and the next generation that's coming up?
giving participation trophies.
Or just allowing people to be complacent with where they are.
Yeah, I mean, then you kind of get into that, well, telling other people what to do. So
Mm.
that's like a kind of a rocky road. As far as the participation trophies, I mean, that's fine if you little kids, of course. I've seen the opposite. My football team, we were just like in a really tough league, so we hardly won any games. We won like one or two games, and it was a
Mm.
big deal to us.
Yeah.
We were a tech school, and they didn't put any money into the program, and nobody joined the tech school to be in the program. So we didn't win too many games, but I would say, the most important thing was that we were on the field and we were amazing players. There were just so many amazing players, but we just didn't really have the coaching staff and, all the money the other schools had that we were going against. It built great character and it kept, a lot of the guys off the street and doing bad stuff. And there was a lot of value to that in, once again, us losing and, failing. I wonder if it's the same if you're giving these kids these participation trophies, if they see like value in that and they're like, okay, this is great. We tried something. I would look at the positive aspect of that of, okay, hey, they didn't win, but, they got a trophy for trying their best. I would say that's a positive thing. It could also be looked as a negative, but it depends on each case, I would say. Yeah, as for people and trying to get them to do anything or judging them in a certain way that say, okay, you're not really contributing to society as you talk about different age groups and classes and different things. It's a tough conversation to kind of see what drives people and what drives you are two different things. Like we had this belief system where we really had to work hard, you and I feel, we had to kind of hustle and do our own thing. And, we didn't have we're not millionaires. Our parents aren't millionaires, and we didn't have a lot of money, so we had to kind of make our own way in a way. But we still did have the help of our family. So we see people who have the help of their family have a lot of those resources, and we kind of say, oh well, they should be trying harder because I tried so hard. But from their perspective, that's a different case. I couldn't say what their perspective is, but I respect it. I can't say that it's wrong, but we're getting into the point of how do you motivate people that are active parts of society. I'd say by being the best you and being a light for them to see and being, what, that's what I want to be like. As they see you shine, they want to shine too, and then they start to want to do the things that you're doing. I would say that's the best thing we could do for society.
I've worked with some of the wealthiest people in the world, right? Like billionaire people. I worked with their kids too. What I can tell you is that we have a very different upbringing, like you and me, like how we grew up compared to them, right? They're extremely privileged, extremely. Where, to be honest, they don't have to do sports. They don't have to do anything. They can literally sit there and they are trust fund babies, right? They can have everything taken care of. They don't have to go through hardship. Yet the parents, they hire me to work with their kids so I can tell them about hardship. So I can tell them about their potential. So I can tell them that they can do great things. Yes, they have that option to not be anything, and it's their option too, right? Like no one has to push themselves. People can just stay where they are, right? You want to work a 9 to 5, live in the rat race, be with one company, go for it, right? Like I'm not here saying that you need to go out and you need to start like a Fortune 500 company and you need to be the best at, football player or things like that. That might not be your success or your definition for success or your purpose. You might just want to be a family man or a mother, a stay-at-home mother. There is nothing wrong with that, right? And I think sometimes people think when they listen to me, it's like, do you feel like I'm not doing enough? No, you get to decide how much you want to do. And you get to ask yourself, are you done? Sometimes, like when I'm down and out, like I might be, like in the gym running or something like that. One of the things that is always in my head that I forcibly tell myself is like, I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet. I got so much more to do. I have so much more to give. That's just my driver. It's an extremely strong mindset where some people might not have that type of mindset, where some people are just like, as long as I can make ends meet, I'm good. As long as I, am taken care of, I'm good, right? There's a story of a fisherman, I think it was in Brazil or something like that, maybe Colombia or something like that, where he would go out, he would go fishing, he would grab, get, 2, 3 fish. That was enough to feed his family for the day. And he would go home, eat the fish with his family, spend some time with his wife, play with the kids, go out with his friends, play guitar at nighttime. And a businessman sees him, goes over to him. Hey, what are you doing? He's like, I was catching some fish today, to feed my family and to be with them later. And then he's like, well, you know what you should do instead? You should go out, catch a whole bunch of fish and then sell them. And then use that profit to buy a bunch of boats. And then you can create a whole empire, a whole fleet where now you have all of these boats. You can create a whole company. You can go public. You can be rich. And then, long story short, the guy asked the businessman, he was like, well, what's the end goal? He's like, well, the end goals could be this. You can go out, take some time, catch a few fish for your family, go home, spend some time with your wife and kids, and then even go out with your friends. You not have any worries. It was literally the same life he was already living. It's just that he didn't give himself all the materialism and all the lavish lifestyle things that the businessman was seeing in his eyes. So how one person sees potential or success is going to be different. Going back to what we said early on, like success is going to be different for everyone, but yet there's potential in everyone. And I want people to understand that people have potential. Do you uncover the potential? It's up to you, right? Because some people are just going to be happy, again, with their 9-to-5s, with their rat race jobs. Not saying there's anything wrong with that. It's just that they chose that complacency. Because if I was working with anyone in the world, anyone, I can make them better than where they are right now. I'm confident in that. If you can only run a mile, I'm going to make it so you can run a mile and a half. Just that motivation aspect, that coaching aspect, giving you that mindset aspect, because it's difficult for people, especially here in America. And then I'll pass it to you. We grow up with limiting beliefs, right? I was a teacher. I was a teacher. In school, if you are in school, you could probably recall being in school, but I saw it firsthand from a teacher's perspective. The amount of limiting beliefs that we give these children is astounding. So they have a choice now. Do I follow the limits that someone gave me, or do I choose to be limitless? I'm pass that to you there.
Yeah, it's definitely a choice that, some people are happy, like you said, with a 9 to 5, and that's, their journey. And I love to explore. I'm an explorer of consciousness and, pushing the envelope. I love doing that. It's my passion to do that, to, see how far the body is, see how good I could feel, to see like the newest technologies that, could make us run faster, work out harder and the least amount of time and, have fun while we're learning the guitar. I love that. As you're saying, we're putting there's limited beliefs like in the children that is, perpetuated by society, which is true. But we're seeing, children, and some of that is, okay, they don't want to follow the status quo, and what we might call that is being lazy. But, the children are just like, okay, I don't want to do things the same way you did. I mean, that's like another perspective to look at it. I feel that should be respected too. Hardship is a blessing. It's not something that everyone has. Like you said, there are some people that are privileged. They have hardships in their own ways, and I'm sure they may view it in bigger proportion to their life than we do if we see the problems that they have after we've kind of gone through what we've gone through. It's definitely a matter of perspective, and I believe everyone has their own hardships, and overcoming those, however little they may be, whether they're a millionaire and, they're having some sort of problems, with whatever it may be, with relationship, with raising their children. Those are still hardships that they go through. Some of the bigger hardships, where you see, people who are, very poor and then they rise to the top and become millionaires. Those are beautiful stories and we love to hear them. It inspires people to do the same. Those who are passionate enough to follow through with that. It's dependent on the person and what they truly want. Ultimately, I would say the reason why we do anything is happiness. The reason why we do anything is because we want to be happy. The reason why we go to work, the reason why, we want to have good relationships. At the end of the day, it's all so that we could be happy. If you could get to happy first, then from there, you could make much better decisions about your life and where you want to go to. It's not about having, millions of dollars, although that is nice. Money isn't everything, but everybody wants to find out. But at the end of the day, the reason we want that money is so that we could be happy, so that we could be free. Money is another acronym for freedom, so that we could do the things that we really feel that we want to do. But at the same time, it also mixes in with the hardships, not having that money and being able to be creative and find ways to do things in certain ways and just using what you have, using the rock to, build the house instead of, having somebody come and build your house if you have a millionaire. It's part of the journey and a part of the joy, the hardships.
Yeah, Kanye West said, having money is not everything, but not having it is. And,
Yeah.
you know, that's where we are. People look at money as that freedom tool, that happiness tool. And looking at happiness is a great way to find motivation. But then at the same time, many people don't appreciate happiness for what it truly is. Because emotions last 90 seconds, then our body falls back to homeostasis. Think of some of the happiest moments in your life. If you recall, how happy you felt, maybe a day, maybe 2 days, maybe a week, right? But then look at the sadness, the bad, negative stuff, the traumas in your life, right? How long did those last? Negatives last 3 times longer than happiness moments. That's just how our brain is wired. It's from evolution. We are so prone to looking at the negative, right? We see the things that we don't have rather than the things we do have. We look at people like Gandhi, Mother Teresa. Essentially, they had nothing, but they were some of the happiest people in the world, where they learned that what they have is happiness, because there's someone in the world right now who probably sees or would see our life as their dream life. This is what they want. We got it. But then we give ourselves this aspiration. We want more. Is that greedy? What do you think?
It's built into us to want more. Well, people will never stop wanting more. We're always going to want more. Yeah, we're always kind of like, that yin and yang, the good and bad, and even defining those things as that is not really real. What we call as bad, it's kind of motivating us. Oh, it's bad. I don't have any money, so I need money. Then you have a lot of money. Then you say, oh, well, money's not everything, which, people find out when they have a lot of money. And that, they see like, all right, there was benefits of me not having money. It's hard for people who are in, that kind of that polarity of that negative to see that. You kind of have to kind of move into the middle where, okay, I have money and, I understand the other part of not having it and trying to kind of move forward with both those energies. And just that's where I believe you learn appreciation, where you kind of like, all right, that's there and that's there. And I appreciate both those aspects. And from there, I could kind of move on in my life. I do remember negative things in my life, but for the most part, I try to think of being happy. I mean, there's still stuff that goes on in my life where, something doesn't happen, a job doesn't, go right. And, I'm like, or, someone that doesn't like what I'm doing and I'm just devastated by it. I do remember those, but those are good stories at the end of the day. When people do like what I'm doing and enjoy it, then I kind of remember that and I kind of laugh and think of those stories. And I remember those a lot more. I would say it's definitely what you would tune yourself to. I try to tune myself more to the positive. There's going to be times in your life where, it's raining outside and you're not going to be able to ignore that it's raining outside. But the only thing that we ever have control of is our perspective of our lives and our emotional frequency and like how we deal with everything. I mean, you could be, knocked down and, knocked out cold. The question is, like you say, are you going to get back up? Are you going to have, that fire and, also that passion, that appreciation of like who you are and like, the appreciation of that there's more to be able to get back up and to keep going and enjoy your life in whatever fashion you can. Where if people say, oh, poor me, I don't have this, I don't have that, then you won't move forward. But I mean, there's also benefit from, those low points where, if you stay down there, you're going to be like, well, what am I doing down here? I have to get up eventually. Unfortunately, I can't stay here on the floor. I have to keep moving on. And I think, people realize that too. So it's all good. It's all a fun journey. And you just have to learn how to enjoy even the bad parts, even though it's hard to do when it's right there in your face.
Most people don't say, yes, I hit rock bottom. I made it, right? They
Yeah.
they are looking for that mountain peak, that summit that they are giving themselves, in life, right? From where we began, from, our conversation right now, right? It's the journey of life. We have so many paths that we can go on, so many different mindsets that we can learn, cultivate, and then input into our daily lives. There is no right mindset. There is no right path. There's your path. There's your mindset. And ask yourself, like, is this helping you live the life that you would like to be living? And if it's not, how do you change that, right? What type of adjustments you need to make? Maybe getting a coach, maybe getting a guide, a mentor, a healer, someone who is understanding of your situation and willing to go on that path and that journey with you. And I think that's important, to have someone who's going to walk with you rather than just choosing to walk through life by ourselves and figure out all of the problems by ourselves. Because we can do it, but how long will it take you to build a house? It'll probably take you by yourself to build a house, maybe 2 years or something like that, right? Maybe you're really good, you can get it done in a year. But if you have a team of builders, right? You can get that house done so much quicker. This is where we are, right? We are not trying to rush to happiness because happiness is not at a destination, but is rather a journey. So we learn about being present in our journey and then understanding what we have, appreciating what we have and what we gain too. Because we can say, I want a Ferrari. We finally get the Ferrari and now it's sitting in the garage and then we give ourselves another lofty goal. But if we take a step back, maybe we were still driving the bus. We were still riding the bus and we were just thinking about that Ferrari. If you think about that moment of you riding that bus, you're going to appreciate that Ferrari every single day versus, I got it already, right? We take things for granted sometimes. And I think it's important that we understand that life's a journey and we have to progress through life as it be a journey. And it's, every day is going to be a new day. It's going to be a new chance for hardship, a new chance for blessings. And we have to appreciate those. We have to appreciate where we are, where we're going. And, our conversation today is just helping people understand that you have so many paths that you can go on. There's so many people that can help you along that way, whether it be with just a conversation that like you and I had today, or it can be a full throttle home renovation, right? A renovation to your life where you just like totally say, I'm changing everything, right? I don't like the paint, changing it. I don't like the floors, I'm changing it. I don't like the grass, I'm tearing it up. I'm putting something else in there, right? We can create whatever is around us. Sometimes you can be happy with what you got. Sometimes you can make some adjustments. But you made a great point, right? Just because you can make the adjustments, should you make the adjustments? And should the adjustments that you make be influenced by what society's saying or what other people are saying, right? Follow your intuition, follow what you feel is right for you. Because at the end of the day, you have to live with what is around you. You're alive. And if you're not in a good place, how do you get there? And I think our conversation today is going to be a great starting point to get there. I think getting a coach, a mentor is going to be a great place for you to find a deeper understanding where you are. Yes, you do electrical work, Marcus, but you're more than just that. You are a healer. You help people understand a different type of mindset. And I can't even tell you how much you have helped me over the years, just growing up in my 20s, just asking those deep questions. And I think that's where we are, because in this podcast, you asked, I think, 2 or 3 very deep questions. For the people who have listened to this, you probably have to listen to it again. Because what are those 2 deep questions he asked, or the 3 deep questions he asked? 2 were prominent, and 1 was kind of like a deep question. Can you find them? Did they resonate with you? And I think that's where we are. Asking deep questions, asking the questions that are going to give you the answers. Should you make some changes, or are you good where you are? So what I want from you, Marcus, is to share with us any last words. And then I want you to link your business, Phoenix Starlight Wellness, so people can check out your website. They could check out any social medias you have. And then I'll also put those links in the description box below.
Yeah, I want to talk about, just getting other people to help you. And I remember I was working with a teacher and I asked him a question at a point in my life where I was like, a little bit confused. And I was like, how do you learn how to have faith? He started going to this long thing, but, he started like, coughing in the middle of the whole speech. And, he's felt like, I'm being told to shut up here. And he was like, short answer, he was like, through experience. That's how we learn how to have faith. And working with people helps us to see things in different perspectives that we would have never saw if we didn't ask the question, or if we weren't there with them to see their story. Just see things from a different perspective that you may not have had because of your belief systems and your upbringing. So it's very important to work with people to achieve like your highest self, for sure. I'm Marcus with Phoenix Starlight Wellness. You could catch me on my Instagram, Facebook. I have a website, phoenixstarlightwellness.com. We're based in Connecticut, been in business for a year, and we've been working with healing technologies, and I'm starting to add even more of those healing technologies in. A lot of those are in person. At some point, we'll be doing some stuff, I'm sure, online. But it's been a big joy, and it's like been a happy point in my life, and it gives me reason and happiness and a great appreciation to be able to share that with people.
Excellent. And I just had someone do some business marketing branding for me because I'm doing some rebranding. One of the things they said was adding technology into my business. So that means kind of like making it more of a virtual thing because we do a lot of online people internationally. They said if you could do like a VR session or something where it's like virtual things like that, that's going to be like the new type of technology when it comes to coaching and things like that. Your technology with the Anju Light can be used in different ways when you're in person, but remotely, that's going to change the game if you can figure that out. Where it's like, how can I bring this same sensation to someone who's across the globe? If you can learn how to do that, I don't think there's any business that has done that. I think there's businesses that are trying to do something similar to that, but no one has been able to accomplish that. And it's one of the things that my branding marketer, he said, if you can figure this out, then you're going to be that leading light and like no pun intended, leading light for that process, creating that new sensation, creating that new type of wellness for people to experience. And if anyone is not familiar with the Anju Light, go to YouTube, go to his website. He has plenty of resources on that. And then you can begin to say, okay, this is interesting. Learn about the benefits. And then if you're ever in Connecticut, you can always reach out to him and set up a session. And it's so important that we give ourselves an opportunity to grow, to learn, and to try new things in life. Because when you try something new, just how you were talking about building that patio, right? You have been in the electrical world for, many years now. And when you started to build that patio, you were like, I'm learning something new. I love it. Learning, right? Learning about yourself, learning about different things is going to bring us so much joy in our life. And the journey of life, just how I've been saying this whole episode, I want people to understand that we're episode 300 right now. The journey of the podcast is going to keep on evolving, keep on changing. My life is going to keep on evolving, keep on changing. But I love to look back at where I came from. I love to look back at when I didn't have the things that I have today. So I can learn that gratitude, that appreciation again and again and again. And it helps me understand just how life can evolve. But my life didn't evolve without me taking action. And that's what I want you to do today. I want you to take some action. It doesn't have to be getting up, going to the gym, building a patio. It could be a simple comment, a simple like. It could be an email, following us on our social medias. That right there can be the action that's going to spark the fire within you to a higher intuition, to a higher level of thinking, and to a higher purpose. I want to thank you so much, my brother, Marcus Rearden, for coming on Coaching in Session, talking to us, sharing a little bit of your wisdom today, and telling the world your perspective on how wisdom is and how the journey of life is.
Thanks, Michael. This was
All
fun.
right, everyone. I'd like to thank you so much for watching that episode with my brother, Marcus Rearden, and myself. As you can see, we were just talking about the journey of life. And the reason why we were talking about the journey of life is because Tim and I grew up with similar lifestyles, upbringings, and the journey of life might be different between like people across the world living in different situations or certain economic situations where it might be like, oh, you have such a different mindset because you grew up this way or, something. As you can see, my brother has a different opinion, different mindset. Yes, we talk about personal development and growth, right? That's what we talk about because he's also into the health and wellness world. We talk about that, but then he has his own belief in it, right? For me, participation trophies and things like that, they're probably better off in the trash. But he made a great point, right? That participation trophy might spark something more in a person. So they get that trophy and they have a choice. This is all perception now, right? They have a choice. I got that participation trophy. I don't want to simply participate. I want to be number one, right? That's one option. That's one path that the brain can go on. The second path is I got a participation trophy. I don't need to be like everyone else because everyone else got the same trophy. Why do I even push? So depending on the person, depending on the mindset, is going to be, well, which one do we choose? And which one is right? Which one is wrong? And I don't believe there is a right or wrong way to live life. For me, to be honest, if I look at the world, I'm only looking at, to be honest, impacting 20% of the world, right? We look at the whole entire world, 20%. If you got a 20% in a test and you brought that home to your mom and dad, you'd probably be grounded. But 20% is 2 billion people. That's a big number. I understand from the 20% of people, the mindset that I'm bringing, the purpose, the mission that Reven Concepts has, we know that the 20% of people that we're going to reach are going to be helping them understand that limiting beliefs are an option. And you can turn all the limits that you have in your life around. And that's why we have Reven, because we took never and we just turned it around backwards. And I remember I was talking to someone on my Facebook page. She was looking at some of my content, some of my videos, and she goes, "That is so interesting, the name." And I was like, "Why is that name interesting to you?" She says, "Because my son is named Reven." I said, "Oh, wow." And then I was like, "Do you know it means never backwards?" And then she's like, "Yeah, that's why I chose it." So people are in the world right now, right? Just that example. They see the limits, they see the obstacles that are in front of them, and they want to make some changes. They want the best for their kids, they want the best for themselves. You should have the best for yourselves, right? My brother said it. People look for happiness, and he's not wrong. However, should people look for happiness only? That is a mindset. So when we get into the gist of the conversation, when we get into the gist of what is personal development, what is wellness, what is life, it's all a journey. You have to figure out what works for you, what doesn't work for you. When you figure out the secret formula for your success, or the secret key to your happiness or your purpose or your passions, you're going to find that life does have some meaning. Life can be meaningful. That is where you start to say, now my steps are going to be with purpose, rather than just kind of a nonchalant, lackadaisical type of presence. We have to get loud. We have to let the world know who we are. And it's more than just saying, all right, I'm going to get a house, get all these cars, get all these clothes, because that doesn't define who you truly are. Your legacy is what your legacy is. Your legacy is what you create. 300 episodes, that's the legacy. 300 episodes, that is something I'm creating. 300 episodes are something that's going to echo in the world for as long as I live, and even when I'm gone, it's going to be there. For people to listen, for people to understand, for people to learn from. This is going to be the key to success for so many people. This is going to be the key to happiness and understanding for so many people. This is going to be the key to starting your journey for real. What journey will you go on? That's for you to find out. My name is Michael Rearden. I'm a mindset coach. If you have any questions, you can email me coachinginsession@gmail.com. And I will see everyone on the next episode of Coaching in Session. Until then, everyone, take care.